My husband started receiving anonymous letters at work. Each one accused me of having an affair. At first, he ignored them. Then the letters included photos, blurry but real. They were of me at a cafe, sitting with my brother. The angle was from across the street. We thought it was random harassment. Until the next letter said, "He's not your brother. And you know it." I called my parents. My mom broke down and said, "You had a twin. He was adopted. We never told you." The name of the adopting family? Was our neighbors. This all started one random Thursday in August last year. It was hot. Muggy. One of those Midwest days where everything feels stuck to your skin. My husband Brian walked in from work holding a piece of paper. His shirt was wrinkled, his face a little pale. He tossed his keys on the counter and held up the letter. "This was on my desk," he said. "No envelope. No return address. It was just a plain piece of white printer paper, typed in all caps. Your wife is lying to you. Ask her where she was last Thursday at noon." I blinked. "That's it." Brian nodded, trying to act casual. "Yeah. Weird, right?" I laughed. Because that Thursday, I was at Café Luna. I was sitting across from Eli, my so-called brother. We met 6 months before at a charity dinner. We hit it off right away. Same sense of humor, same weird birthmark on our cheek, and the same way of tapping our finger when we're thinking. I had joked back then. "You sure we're not related?" He just smiled and said, "Maybe we are." After that first meeting, we started hanging out now and then. Lunches mostly. I never thought much of it. I thought it was just one of those rare friendships that comes out of nowhere. When Brian asked who I was with that Thursday, I told him honestly. I was with Eli. He raised an eyebrow. "Who?" "My brother." "Well, not really. I've told you about him." "From the charity thing?" "I think we might be related. We're figuring it out." Brian frowned. "You never told me he was your brother." "He's not technically. Just kind of. I don't know." He looked at me like he didn't fully buy it, but he didn't push. He tossed the paper in the trash. That should have been the end of it. The second letter came 5 days later. Same setup. No envelope, just the paper. This time, there was a photo. It was grainy. Black and white. Me and Eli sitting outside at Café Luna. I had my hand on my coffee cup. Eli was leaning forward, talking. The angle was strange, almost like someone had taken the picture from across the street, hiding behind a car or something. You couldn't see our faces clearly, but if you knew us, you'd know it was us. Brian didn't say a word at first. He just stared at the photo. Then he looked at me. "This is the guy?" "Yeah." "You said he's your brother." "He's not. Look, I thought we might be. There's a lot I don't know." I didn't think it was a big deal. He didn't yell. Brian's not like that. But I could feel something shift. Like a crack opening that I couldn't close. The third letter came a week later. No photo this time. Just a message. "He's not your brother. And you know it." That's when I lost it. I called my mom. I didn't ease into it. I just said, "Who the hell is Eli?" She didn't answer right away. I could hear the sound of her breathing. Slow. Uneven. "Mom, talk to me. I was afraid this would come out," she whispered. "Come out? What are you talking about?" She broke down crying. "You had a twin," she said. "You were born together. A boy and a girl. We weren't prepared. We didn't have the money. We couldn't raise 2 kids. Your father's parents were strict, and they were already furious I was pregnant before we got married. We didn't want to give him up, but we didn't see a choice." I sat there on the kitchen floor, stunned. "You're telling me I had a twin? A brother?" "Yes." "Where is he now?" She hesitated. "His name was Eli." My stomach dropped. I felt like I'd been kicked. "We didn't go through an agency," she said. "We did it quietly. Through someone we knew. A family down the street, the Holloways." The name hit me like a brick. "The Holloways lived 2 doors down," I said. "You're telling me you gave my twin to the neighbors?" "They were moving. We thought we'd never see them again." I hung up. I pulled out the old photo albums. Dug through boxes in the garage until I found one from when I was about 6. A neighborhood block party. And there, in the corner of the photo, standing beside Mr. and Mrs. Holloway, was a little boy. Eli. He'd been in my life the whole time. I didn't remember him well. But I remembered how nice the Holloways were. I remembered playing with their son in the yard once or twice. And I remembered when they moved away without much warning. I had been 7. Now Eli was back. He had found me. Without saying anything. Without revealing the truth. And someone else knew. Someone had been watching us. Taking pictures. Sending letters. Stirring things up. This wasn't just some weird family reunion. This was something else. Something darker. I needed to find out who was behind the letters. And why they wanted to tear my life apart. The day after I found out about Eli being my twin, I didn't go to work. I couldn't. My stomach was twisted in knots. I hadn't told Brian yet. I needed to process it myself first. Around 10 a.m., I called Eli. He answered on the second ring. "Hey," he said casually, like nothing had happened. "We need to talk," I said. My voice was shaking. There was a pause. "Okay," he said. "Come by my place." I met him at his apartment. He lived downtown in one of those newer buildings with fake hardwood floors and exposed pipes. It looked clean, but cold. We sat across from each other in his small kitchen. I didn't waste time. "Are you my brother?" Eli's face didn't change much. He looked down for a second, then nodded. "I figured you'd find out eventually," he said. "You knew this whole time?" "Not at first," he said. "I figured it out after our third lunch. I started remembering things. My mom had this old picture of me when I was a baby, and you were in it too. I started digging. You could have told me. I didn't know how. I slammed my hands on the table. You let me sit across from you for 6 months thinking we were maybe just connected, somehow. You let me wonder. You let me. I stopped myself." He stared at me. "It wasn't meant to hurt you." "Then who's sending the damn letters?" Eli shook his head. "I thought maybe you were." I blinked. "Why the hell would I do that?" "I don't know," he said. "Maybe you found out and didn't want to say it out loud. Maybe you were trying to force it out of me." "No," I said. "It's not me. Someone else is doing this. Someone who knows about us. Someone watching." His face changed then. He looked worried. That's when I noticed his phone light up on the table. A notification. I caught a glimpse. It was a photo. Me and Brian. In our living room. Taken through the window. I snatched the phone before he could lock it. "Who sent this?" I asked. He didn't answer. "Eli." "Who sent this?" He swallowed hard. "I don't know their name. They contacted me a couple months ago. Said they knew the truth. They started sending me old photos, me as a baby, you as a baby. Said it was time you knew. So they told you to meet me?" "Not exactly. They didn't have to. I was already planning to reach out. They just encouraged it." I stared at him, my mind racing. "They're stalking me. They've been following me, taking pictures, sending letters to Brian. This isn't just encouragement. This is obsession." Eli looked pale. I didn't know it was this serious. I got up. "We're going to the police. They haven't done anything illegal. They're harassing me. Harassing us. Taking photos. Watching us in our house." Eli stayed sitting. "You don't get it. Whoever this is, they're smart. They know more than we do. More than we should know. And if we go to the cops, they might go public." "Public with what?" He looked at me, dead in the eye. "They think we were sleeping together." I almost fell over. "What?" "That's what they're trying to make it look like. The letters, the pictures, they're making it look like an affair. That's disgusting." He nodded. "Yeah. But it works. Nobody knows we're siblings. They just see us alone. Meeting. Laughing. Close. They're setting us up." I sat down slowly. "Why?" Eli's voice was low. "Because someone wants to ruin your life. And mine too." I didn't go home that night. I sat in my car outside Eli's building until nearly midnight, trying to wrap my head around everything. My hands shook. My chest felt heavy. The more I thought about it, the more it all felt like a trap, one that had been set a long time ago. The next morning, I drove straight to my parents' house. My dad was outside raking leaves. When he saw me pull in, he looked nervous. Like he knew what was coming. I marched up to him. "I talked to Eli," I said. "He knew. You gave him to the Holloways. You never told me I had a twin." He dropped the rake. "I told your mother this would come back someday. You should have told me years ago. I deserve to know. We did what we thought was right," he said, not even trying to look sorry. "We were young. We were scared. The Holloways offered to help." I shook my head. "Well, now someone's using your secret to destroy my life. Someone knows everything." Photos, letters, even pictures taken inside our house. This isn't just about a mistake you made 30 years ago. It's happening right now. He stiffened. Inside your house? I nodded. Someone's watching me. Me and Brian. He looked shaken then. Like the full weight of it finally hit him. Do you know who could have done this? I asked. Someone who would know everything? Who knew about Eli being adopted? Someone connected to the Holloways? He hesitated. There was a boy, he said. Their son. Michael. The name rang faintly in my head. I couldn't picture him clearly. Just a vague memory of a quiet kid with thick glasses. What happened to him? He was jealous, Dad said. Even back then. When his parents took Eli in, Michael hated it. He used to tell people he wasn't their real brother. He didn't like sharing attention. Where is he now? I don't know. Moved away years ago. I left and started digging. I called a friend of mine who works at the BMV and asked if she could help me run the Holloway name. It was a stretch, but I had to try. She called back later that day. There's a Michael Holloway registered in Cincinnati. Same age as you. Same birth date as the Michael I found in your yearbook. Still using the family name. You want the address? I did. I drove to Cincinnati 2 days later. It was a rundown duplex near a truck depot. Paint peeling, porch sagging. I parked a block away and walked. When I knocked, a man opened the door. Late 30s. Pale skin. Thin, stringy hair. He had those same thick glasses. Michael? I asked. He blinked. Who's asking? I'm Eli's sister. He stared at me for a long second. Then his lips curled into a smile. I was wondering how long it would take. I felt my stomach turn. You've been sending the letters. He didn't deny it. You're sick, I said. No, he said quietly. You all are. My parents gave up on me the second they brought Eli into that house. Everything was about him. He got the best of everything. The attention. The love. The praise. He wasn't even theirs. He was yours. And they still picked him over me. That's not our fault. Oh, but it is, he said. You got to grow up in a normal house. He got adopted like a prince. And me? I got ignored. I watched both of you get everything I never had. So I made a plan. You tried to ruin my marriage. I wanted you to suffer. Just like I did. You didn't even know he was your brother. That made it easier. The way you smiled at him. The way you leaned in close. All I had to do was frame it the right way. People believe what they want to believe. I should have left. I should have turned around and gone straight to the police. But I didn't. I stepped inside his house. Because I needed more than an answer. I needed evidence. What I found inside that house would turn everything upside down again. Because Michael wasn't just stalking me. He had photos of Eli. Hundreds of them. And a binder labeled The Experiment. Michael's house smelled like mold and old paper. His living room was stacked with boxes, milk crates, binders. Photos covered one wall. They were thumbtacked, taped, or pinned, most of them of me, Eli, or both of us. Some were recent. Some weren't. I saw one from the fundraiser where Eli and I met. Another from Café Luna. One of us in the parking lot, hugging goodbye. Another one of me walking alone, looking at my phone. Someone had followed me for months. I looked closer. There were older ones too. One of Eli in high school. Another of me in college. One of my parents, Blurry, taken from a distance in their backyard. That's when I knew. Michael had been doing this for years. Why? I whispered, not even looking at him. He sat down in a broken armchair and smiled like it was all normal. You were his real family. I wasn't. But I watched. I took notes. I wanted to see what would happen if I introduced you two again. I set up the fundraiser. I made sure you sat at the same table. I picked the charity, created the invite list, and waited. You did all that just to watch? He grinned wider. I wanted to see if blood pulled people together. If you'd feel something and not know why. You did, didn't you? I was shaking. You were watching everything. I had cameras in your house. I logged into your Wi-Fi. I could hear you two talking on your porch that night in October. You said you felt like you'd known him forever? That's real, right? I made that moment happen. You're sick. I said again. You need help. But deep down, I wasn't thinking about therapy. I was thinking about how to end this. I opened the binder labeled The Experiment. Inside were pages, logs, entries, dates, maps. There were detailed write-ups about every meeting between me and Eli. Michael had written down how long we talked, what we wore, if we laughed. He rated every interaction like it was a science project. "You ruined my life," I said. "You made Brian think I was cheating. You made me think I was losing my mind." Michael looked proud. "And it worked." I took pictures of everything. The wall, the binder, his face. He didn't stop me. He thought it was part of the show. I left without another word. I drove straight to the police. I showed them the photos. The binder. Everything. They arrested Michael that night. But that wasn't the end. Brian left me. He said he believed me, that he knew I hadn't cheated, but the damage was done. The doubt had sunk in. The image of me with Eli, the lies, the silence, it all stayed in his head. He said, "I can't unsee it." I didn't beg. I let him go. Because I had my own guilt too. I had leaned into something with Eli. Even before I knew the truth. I'd met a man who felt familiar. Safe. I'd opened up in ways I hadn't with Brian in years. I thought it was friendship. It wasn't. Not fully. Eli moved out of town. Said he needed distance. Said he couldn't live under this shadow anymore. We haven't spoken since the trial. Michael got 10 years for stalking, illegal surveillance, and harassment. At the sentencing, he turned to me and said, "You proved the blood bond. You fought for him." I didn't reply. Because it wasn't about blood. Or bonds. It was about control. And revenge. And Michael got exactly what he gave. He wanted to ruin lives. So I made sure his was buried. Forever.